While some programs send your emails through some cryptic account that ends up in your customer's spam filter, Caterease has the unique ability to let you send emails directly through your normal email account, so your customers recognize the name and all return correspondences come directly back to you. To set up your email settings in Caterease, you would click the Administration ribbon tab at the top of the screen, and then click the Settings button and choose the option Email Settings. Now, I am logged into my program as the administrator, and therefore I am able to establish email settings for all users on my Caterease network. Here, I can just simply click the green plus sign button to add a new user, and for this example, I'll establish email settings for my user Kathy Wilson. Now, notice you have a few options when you're establishing email settings in your program. If you are using the desktop program of Caterease, meaning you have Caterease loaded locally on your computer or network, you could use Microsoft Outlook Extended Mappy or Simple Mappy. Now, if you have a recent version of Microsoft Outlook, the Extended Mappy should work perfectly. If you have an older version, perhaps Outlook Express, you'll want to use Simple Mappy. But again, these two options are only available if you have the desktop version of Caterease loaded locally on your computer or network. If you are using our hosted program, Caterease Connect, and accessing your Caterease program through the internet, you will have to use the direct emailing option. I'll click on that option and let's explore the settings that you can establish. First of all, under User Information, you would type the name you want to display when your customer receives the email. Since I'm establishing email settings for my user Kathy Wilson, I'm going to type her name as the display name. Again, this means when Kathy's customer receives her email, her name, Kathy Wilson, will appear at the top of that email. Now, here's the email address field for the user, and this is the email address that will be used on any replies to these emails. Again, since this is Kathy Wilson we're setting up here, I'll use her email address, k.wilson@cmarket.com. Now, underneath the user information would be server information, outgoing SMTP settings, outgoing ports, encryption types, etc. You may or may not want to get assistance from your IT team with this specific information, but basically these details will depend on which email service you are using. Let's say, for example, Kathy uses Gmail. The specific outgoing mail server settings for Gmail are smtp.gmail.com. If you're using Outlook 365, well, you can always look up those outgoing email settings, and again, you can always consult with your IT people. For a Gmail server, the outgoing mail port would be 465 and the encryption type would be SSL. Other email providers might use a port of 587 and they might have an encryption type of TLS. Still others might have no encryption type and use an outgoing port of 25. Again, consult with your technical professionals to get this information. Now, of course, the most important part for these direct emailing settings would be the login username and password for the email account you intend to use. In most cases, this will probably be the same email address you're using for the user. However, maybe Kathy Wilson is using some generic email account to send her emails, and she wants her replies to come back to her k.wilson account. For my example, I'm just going to use a generic Gmail account and password. Now, of course, I can click the Test Connection button on the window and make sure that this email connection can be made successfully. Now, I'm going to click OK at the bottom of this window, and then I'll go down to the status bar at the bottom of my Caterease screen, and I will choose to actually log in as Kathy Wilson. You'll see her name now appears in my status bar, and if I were to click the Settings button in the Administration ribbon tab and choose Email Settings again, this time, because I'm logged in as Kathy Wilson, it is only her email settings that I see. By the way, there are other settings you can control for your email, including a custom signature you can create, as well as establishing default CC and blind CC lists for all emails coming out of the program. Now, let's go into Event Manager and send an email as Kathy Wilson. You probably know that to send an email, you simply click the email button in the home ribbon tab at the top of the screen. And for my example, I'll just quickly grab one of the custom templates Kathy Wilson has. In this case, sending a reminder with an attached timeline PDF to the customer. Now I'll click send, and that email is instantly sent out the door. And if I pull that email up as if I were Kathy Wilson's customer receiving it, you'll see that Kathy Wilson's name does indeed appear at the top of the window. And you'll see that even though I'm using the generic Gmail account to send the email, if the customer chooses to reply to that email, that reply will go directly back to k.wilson@cmarket.com. Think about the significant benefits to this approach. First of all, your emails are not being sent through some cryptic account that's going to end up in your customer's spam filter. You control the email account from which your emails are sent. Secondly, your customers will see and recognize your name right at the top of their received emails, and when they reply to those emails, those replies will go right back to you. Not to mention any bounce backs, any automatic out-of-office replies. They won't get lost in the ether. They're going right back to your address. Take just a quick minute to set your email settings up today and start taking advantage of the powerful direct emailing capabilities of Caterease software.